Welcome, my constant reader friends. I'm Tad, and this is Tad Reads Books and Stuff. Well, as promised, here is my review for Stephen King's Full Dark, No Stars. Yes, another of the short story compilations that I've been doing in my year-long project. I call it my Shorty King Project. We have one more book left in the Shorty King Project, and that is the Bazar of Bad Dreams, which we will be reading this month, November, and doing probably the final review, probably the first week of December. That's usually how these have been running. This book, let's get the numbers out of the way. Not a big book. You know, I also read this book during my 24-hour readathon I did a couple weeks ago. And I didn't quite finish it, but I did finish it within that next week. So I did finish it in October, but we're talking about it now. And what is it? Let's get the numbers out of the way. Full Dark, No Stars was originally published November of 2010. My version is a first hardback, and it has 368 pages. On Goodreads, it currently has a 4.08 rating. And to get it out of the way, I gave it 5 stars. Yeah, I don't give a lot of 5 stars, although I have done a couple this year. I really loved this book. I'm going to say right now, this might be now, I don't know. I don't know if I want to say it's my favorite short story compilation of his, because just nostalgic wise, I love Night Shift. You know, and I love Skeleton Crew, always have, you know, different seasons. There's a lot of good ones. There's a lot that aren't the greatest, but for the most part, even in his huge short story compilation books with, 14 or 20 short stories, there's usually a couple of really good ones in there at least. So they're well worth reading, and I would suggest if you are a Stephen King fan or have gotten away maybe from reading the short story form of writing, pick up some of these books. They're great. I love this one. This one's great. There's only 4 stories in it. Let's start off with the first one. The first one's called 1922. 1922 takes place, of course, in 1922 in Omaha. And we've got James, his wife Arlette, and their 14-year-old son Henry. Arlette was not built for the world of farming. Yeah, they have a milk cow farm, and she's just not built for this. She wants to go to the city. She wants to go live it up somewhere else, and she's tired of eating dirt, she says all the time. And she's just really causing a lot of issues with, well, not only James, but with even her son Henry. She's not treating him too well either. She keeps threatening on leaving and whatever. Well, her father dies and leaves them 100 acres, and she wants to sell the 100 acres plus the acreage that James has, and take that big nest egg and move to the city. He doesn't want to. He wants to live there forever, but she's going to sell hers off, and if she sells hers off, then that 100 acres, there are going to be problems. A pig farm's going to move in. So he starts working on Henry and kind of convinces Henry to help him murder Arlette. Yeah, you got to read it because a ton of other things happen in this. There's everything in this. There's murder. There's rats. He loves his rats. Rats are in here. Ghosts. Really gave me that Edgar Allan Poe type of feeling, maybe Telltale Heart or something like that. Yeah, it's a pretty good story. And then Henry there's a lot to it though. It's not just that. But it happens right before the Depression. And then, of course, he's writing a letter years later, kind of explaining what happened. You got to read it. I really dug it. I thought it was a great story. Great start to this compilation. Number 2, Big Driver. Big Driver is scary. Let me tell you right off, Big Driver can have some triggers in it. It does delve into and a lot of people gave him crap for this, kind of delves into the LGBTQ community and some politics, that he can get into. But really, it's just a scary story. It's about this lady. Her name's Tess, and she's an author. Common theme in his books and short stories. She's an author of cozy mysteries, right? And she gets hired from this book club to come do a reading and a signing in Massachusetts. So it's not too far for her to drive down there. She drives over there. It's in Chicopee. I don't know if you've ever driven through Massachusetts, but I've driven through there many times. A little town called Chicopee. She goes to that and does this reading and writing. And the lady who is running the book club says, hey, I know a way you can go home that's faster, that's not on your GPS, and gives her these directions. She takes them. Was it a setup? Maybe, because she gets stranded on this road, this back road, because somebody laid a bunch of boards across the road with nails sticking out of them. She doesn't see it. Too late. Tries to swerve and miss it. Doesn't. Gets a flat tire. Has to pull to the side. And hell breaks loose. There's a lot of violence. There's rape. There's murders. This really comes down at the end to a pretty intense revenge story with a twist at the end. So this mild-mannered, cozy mystery writer, yeah, I liked it. Again, another good, solid story for me. There are some triggers in it, so be careful. Number 3, Fair Extension. So this one is, this is a fun one. I mean, it's pretty morbid, but I thought it was kind of fun anyways. Another kind of revenge story. We open up with Dave, and Dave is this mild-mannered bank official who, unfortunately, is dying of cancer. He can't drive very far without throwing up. He has to, it's really, he's got a bad prognosis. He's not going to live very much longer. But he does like to go out and just drive around sometimes just to get out of the house, move around, not dwell on it, even though all he does is dwell on the fact that he's dying. And as he's driving down, he goes behind this airport area and he sees a roadside stand. There you see him sometimes selling hot dogs or whatever. It's a roadside stand with this big umbrella. So he decides, I'm going to pull over and just take a gander, talk to this dude. There's a guy there. He's really weird looking. Goes there, he meets the guy, and this is the mysterious guy. Of course, his name is Mr. Elvid. Yeah. Very quickly, Dave figures out that Elvid is an anagram for devil. Pretty blatant, pretty in your face, pretty simple. But Mr. Elvid says, you know what? I extend things. And I can extend your life. Oh, really? What do I have to do in return? Of course. There's got to be a quid pro quo, right? I mean, this is the devil went down to Georgia making a deal with the devil. And Mr. Elvid tells him, okay, you can assume it's something nefarious. It goes from there and just gets worse and worse and worse. I thought it was hilarious. It was fun, hilarious, dark, morbid, but I enjoyed it. I did. Tells you about my, how I am in my mind. Anyways, the last one, number 4 is A Good Marriage. A Good Marriage, again, another really cool story. So we meet Darcy Anderson, and Darcy Anderson is married to Bob. Yep, Bob Anderson. Can't get any more milquetoast than that, right? Bob Anderson is an accountant, of course, and they met very young, and in her career, and now it's like almost 30 years they've been married, and they really, I mean, they're like any other married couple, but they've got kids, and pretty much they've had a really good life. I mean, it's gotten better and better every year. You know, he's an accountant. He's moved up in his company. She got pregnant and decided she no longer needed to work. She stays at home. Well, he's collects coins. He loves to collect coins, and he goes off every once in a while on these expeditions to search out these coins. He's got this one penny that it's a double print, 1955 double print, that he really wants to find someday. He could buy this probably, but he doesn't want to. His whole thing is finding it out in the wild. And so he takes off on these trips every once in a while and, you know, comes back. Well, this last time he's on a trip to purchase or find some coins. And while he's gone, Darcy has to go out in the garage for something, and she trips over a box, and she finds there's some papers in the box like to be recycled, and she just for some reason starts looking through them, and she finds this magazine that's like BDSM, and she's like, what? What does Bob have a dark side? What's going on here? She just wants to put it back in the box and shove it back under the table out in the garage, and she hears something, and she finds a hiding hole. Yeah. She opens it up. It's in the baseboard. She pulls out this thing. She finds some information in there. And then because she is who she is, she has to go on her computer and start looking up this information that she finds. And she quickly realizes that this is personal information from someone who has been murdered. Researches the murders, finds out there's been these series of murders. So it's a serial killer, same motive. I'm not going to go into it too much, but she kind of puts two and two together and comes to the conclusion that Bob is this serial killer. And how does she deal with that when he comes home from his trip? What do they do after the fact? They've got kids, you know, that she doesn't want to ruin anybody's life. You got to read it. It's pretty cool. What happens when you've been with somebody and you think you know somebody for 30 years, and it just goes to show you, we really don't know, you know, everything about anybody, even your kids or your spouse or your parents. You never know. You know, everyone's got a secret, right? So another cool story. I loved them. I really did. But let me tell you, real honestly, this is very, very, very dark. Full dark, no stars. Yeah, it's a dark book. It's, you know, there's some triggers in here. He doesn't shy away from those or back away from those. But I think these stories for me are going to be a little unforgettable. I'm not going to be able to forget them easily. They're thought-provoking. I'm going to revisit them in my head and probably want to read this book again. Again, it just hugely bumped up on my ranking of the best short story compilations by Stephen King. I really enjoyed this, and this is one that I've never read before. This one and The Bazar of Bad Dreams are the two that I have read nothing out of in the past. And wow, I really liked it. I really did. I think you should try it. I mean, this is more realistic type horror than the supernatural, although you have the devil, you know, and that's probably the only really supernatural. Well, there's some ghosts and stuff in 1920. You know what I'm saying? It's not like his normal shtick of doing this crazy Lovecraftian weird fiction with supernatural things happening. There are some twists. Big Driver, you know, has a really cool twist at the end, and some other things like that. But I really enjoyed this. I gave it 5 stars. If you're looking to get into Stephen King and you're not afraid of darkness, this is a good book to start with. So it's not that big. It's not that long. It's just four short stories, and they're all good. So you can't go wrong. All right, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this series that I'm doing, my Shorty King Project. One more book left, and we'll be done with that, and who knows what we're going to do next year. But as usual, if you find any entertaining value in my videos, please like, subscribe, leave me some comments, and until next time, peace out.